Hi, I'm Ken Newman, historian for Battleship, New Jersey, and today we're going to talk a little bit about one of the many jobs that you can have in the U.S. Navy. The one we're going to talk about today is one of the oldest, from 1794, the Bosuns Mates. As you can see the art here behind me. Bosuns Mates are really the backbone of the Navy. They pretty much take care of most of the exterior of the ship. They physically drive the ship. They anchor the ship. Anytime the ship is getting any fuel or ammunition or food or any supplies brought on board, it's the Bosuns Mates who are doing that. Any of the aircraft operations on board, again, Bosuns Mates. And they also would be the coxswains, or the drivers, for the ship's boats. So the space we're in right now is fairly forward on the ship, up by the anchor windlass room. Where we are right now is actually on the main tour out of the museum. It is one of the first things that you see on the green line here when you first come aboard the ship. One of the most striking features, of course, is this work of art. It also has a companion on the other side of the compartment as well. This type of art is what is known as sailor art, and it was painted by the sailors at the time that they were on board the ship here, and it sort of made the compartments more homey, more livable, gave a little esprit de corps to the particular divisions. The Bosuns Mates particularly have a lot of sailor art in their berthing compartments. Is that why that is? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it was that they had some more talented artists in the group. The Gunners Mates also have some sailor art in their spaces as well. But most of the other divisions, you don't really find too much around the ship as far as sailor art is concerned. All of the works of art throughout the ship are maintained by one of our volunteers, Dave Boone. He himself is a very, very talented artist, and as you can see, does a really good job of maintaining these. So, looking at this image here, you may notice down at the bottom, there is the letters W-E-T-S-U, or Wetsu, which the 80s sailors on board would be quite familiar with this term. It's an acronym. It stands for We Eat This Stuff Up. Not quite that PG. As I was saying, the vast majority of the sailor art comes from the 1980s. In fact, this one is dated 1989, 1990. The ship was on a Westpac cruise in the Western Pacific at the time. This is one of the most prominent pieces of sailor art that we have on board the ship. This one, there's another one across the passageway here, another one in turret number 1. There are some other pieces of art that aren't so prominent, that are in places like the engine rooms that are unrestored. One of my favorite was put on the back of a piece of equipment in one of the engine rooms. It is an excerpt from the speech that Captain Peniston gave when the ship was being decommissioned in 1969. It was sort of his way of saying goodbye. So this is the other piece of sailor art that is in this berthing compartment. As you can see, it is a Bosuns Mate himself. Bosuns Mates are called deck apes by themselves. You, as not a Bosuns Mate, would never want to call a Bosuns Mate, to their face at least, a deck ape. But it is a term of endearment that they have for each other. This particular guy is named Skate. Every division has someone who is good at skating. Skating is the Navy term for slacking off and not doing anything, finding a place to hide and sleep all day. And he's holding a mop because a good deal of what Bosuns Mates do is swap the deck. One of the many spaces on board at Battleship, New Jersey where the Bosuns Mates would have worked would have been this particular space right here, the anchor windlass room. If you want to learn specifically about this particular compartment, We have done a video about this in the past. Click the link to find out more information. This particular space would have been manned by the 1st Division, and it's actually not too far away from where they slept. Where one compartment just aft of us is the beginning of the Boses Mate's workspace, the Boses Mate's living compartments. On board ships, you pretty much live as close as you can get to where you work. So just forward of the anchor windlass room, we're in the bosun's locker. This is where the tools the Boses Mates would have been stored. There's also a mooring line here on these big rolls here. This would have been manned by the 6th Division. Obviously, this is a part of the ship that has been unrestored and is not on the tour route. One of the interesting things is that I'm standing on the line that would have been used to tow this ship here from Bremerton, Washington, before she became a museum. Bosun's mates are traditionally associated with line handling. Bosun's mates carry a knife called a marlin spike, and that is used to get knots out of line. They also have a whistle that they have, or a bosun's pipe, and that is very traditional. That goes back to the age of sail, so that when an order was given, they would blow this whistle or play this whistle, and it would tell the crew who the order was for, or what the order was. That is still a traditional role that the bosun's mate of the watch, who is part of the bridge crew on modern day ships, still does. He is essentially the messenger up there, and he is who communicates with the crew using the ship's announcement system, or the 1MC. This is what you as a civilian would call a rope. In the military, this would be called a line. The definition of a line would be a rope with a purpose. This rope's purpose, or line's purpose, is to tie the ship up to a pier. You can see how quite thick this actually is. The expression, taking things to the bitter end, comes from line. The bitter end of a line is the end of the line. The bosun's mates are also responsible for the ground tackle. Ground tackle is the anchors and the anchor chains. Here is a length of one of the anchor chains, and this weighs over 100 pounds. Very, very heavy. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. The museum receives an operations support grant from the New Jersey Department of State. If you would like to help the museum fund more videos like this, you can check out down in our description. There is a link to our GoFundMe program. If you would like to learn more about the other rates from the U.S. Navy, send us a comment down below. We'll try and accommodate your requests.